Hello, class is in session. This is your girl DeKeisha. You can follow me. Y'all already should know. IG, Twitter, go dive the Kiki. And I'm gonna hand it off to Malcolm with my co-host, and he's gonna set us off.
Hey, this your boy Just Malk.
This is your girl Cassie. And it's your girl Chelsea. You can reach me on Twitter and IG at Rockin'MJs.
So, today's topic that we have for discussion in class today is toxic relationships and friendships. And I know we all done been there, done that.
Been there, done that. Been there.
The stories.
Okay, so since our topic today is going to be on toxic relationships and friendships, relationships, like loving relationships, or we could talk about parental relationships. So what we'll start off with is, how do you guys handle toxic relationships? Do you stay in or do you leave them?
Oh, I ain't gonna lie. I done stayed until I felt like I had enough. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna be honest. I stayed until like I finally was like, enough is enough. You're not gonna keep disrespecting me. Like, it's time for me to get my shit and go.
Yeah, because that's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out, why does it you be so mad and so furious, but then you be like, oh, they love me.
I feel like it really matters on when you feel like it's your time to leave. Because a lot of that is, of course, we're in denial. Mm-hmm. Like, we know that we're in a toxic situation, whether it be in a friendship, relationship, parental relationship, anything. If it's just toxic and you feel that, you're getting into a deep depression because of the other person, I feel like there's just a certain point in time where you have to feel like, okay, this is enough. I'm ready to leave.
Yeah, for me, some people can say I come off a little robotic at times, but I really do feel this way. I feel like I generally like to take the time to look at, okay, does this person make me feel good 80% of the time? Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much how I look at it, because I understand you're not going to be happy all the time in a relationship. But I feel like 80 is a good number. And does this person make me feel good that amount of time? And if it's not, then I'm like, no, you're not good. So I got to drop it. I got to leave it, because I don't like sitting in something. And I've actually in my past have sat in many long-term relationships that were over for a long time, but I just wanted to stay because I was comfortable.
Yeah.
They always say comfort, but that's always something that we seek as well. Comfort. Mm-hmm. We want to be comfortable, but then when you get too comfortable, comfort. That's that key word to me.
I don't like change.
That could be a thing too. Yeah,
I do not like change. I'm used to it.
Most people
change is scary.
Yeah, it is scary, and it's like when you get used to this one person. Oh, I know their ways. I know how they're gonna do. Mm-hmm. He's just acting this way right now. Then he shows me affection. We're gonna be good. Everything is fine.
Yeah, because I remember.
Then it's some disrespectful shit again. And
I remember. Yeah, because I remember there was this one time I was in a relationship. It was for a really long time. Mm-hmm. And one of my friends actually sat me down one day and they were like, do you really love this man, or do you just love your history? And I really had to sit there and think about it. Like, am I saying this because, I really love him? Or am I saying this because I've built so much with this person and I don't want to do it over again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've been in that same situation. Mm-hmm. Like, my current last relationship, I was just like, okay, so if this don't work out, then I'm definitely taking a seat back and looking at things. How I went about getting out of my toxic relationship, how I felt, I don't feel like the whole relationship itself was toxic. I feel like there were certain key points and things that we were doing to each other that made it that way. Because even though, we want to say that, they were the toxic part, they may have, but we could have also been doing things also that contributed to those situations.
Yeah. I was in that same mindset, because I was going to say, sometimes we're looking at what a person does to us, how they hurt us. Mm-hmm. Well, what do I need to reflect on about me to make sure that doesn't happen? Because, like they always say, an action creates a reaction. Yeah. A reaction creates another action. it's like an ongoing cycle, especially in toxic relationships. Honestly.
Yeah, because I mean,
somebody got to be the bigger person.
What if you do tit for tat though? Like,
yeah, I'm a tit for tat.
No.
I know that's bad.
I've
had that.
But here's the thing.
I
actually was doing some reading and I saw this quote that really stuck out to me, and the quote was, "The only toxic relationship you will ever have in your life is with yourself." And it really resonated with me because honestly, with all of the relationships that we have, people treat you how you allow them to treat you. Whatever boundaries you set up, that's how they're going to treat you. That's what they're going to follow. So if you don't have strong boundaries, I feel like that's going to show up in your relationship.
And you got to get to it quick too.
Now, what happens if the boundaries that you set, that person does not like to follow them? Like in my last relationship, I feel like, and I actually want to open this up because I want to know what you guys think. And so me and my ex, I had a problem with him staying out like till 6 a.m. with friends or family. I felt like, a reasonable time to come in if I'm at home and I'm choosing not to go out with you. 4 a.m. is a actual good time to me because I know that it's Vegas. We live in Vegas. And, people are going to come in and out all the time. Like, you're going to have friends, family. And I can understand if things go later than normal.
Yeah.
And you want to have fun. Cool. I'm cool with you coming at 4. But if you come in at 6, to me, like, I think 4 is being real lenient. Like, normally, I was really, like, into it at, like, 1 or 2 a.m. But I could tell, like, I was like, you know what? You a grown man. I'm trying to give you that independency that you have. Like, I'm not trying to be, like, the nagging person. So I thought 4 was fine. But if you keep coming at 6 and you say, oh, well, you're trying to be controlling, I don't feel like that's controlling. I feel like that's setting boundaries for our relationship, healthy boundaries, because why would you want to be a man while your woman is at home and something could happen to me?
Well,
I don't know. It depends on the situations too, though. Because I will say certain situations.
Well, here's the thing. I don't necessarily feel that that's controlling. First, I do want to say I feel like 4 a.m. is a very lenient time. I agree with you. However, what I will say when it comes to setting boundaries in the relationship, I feel as though it has to be something that both parties agree on. I assume he agreed on it, right?
He agreed on it. It's just that he never
stuck to it.
If
it's a situation, if we discuss that, hey, this is the boundary, we're not going to cross this, and both parties feels that it's okay, then if they disregard that, then that's well enough reason to leave that.
But I even think it comes down to scenarios or situations. Like work is one thing, depending on the type of work you do. Because,
but in that
I work overnight shifts.
You can send texts or calls if it's going to be a
communication.
Communication. Now, I will say, I communicate. If I have a boo, whoever, they're going to hear from me as much as they want to throughout the night. However, whatever's going to make them feel comfortable, more secure. Yes.
Well, here's the thing on that. I don't necessarily feel like, if you feel like if you're that type of person to give updates throughout the night, cool. I'm not that person.
But I'm only going to give you an update if I'm late.
However, if anything happens to where I know that I'm not going to make a certain time, then I feel like that's something that I need to communicate.
That's true. That's why I was feeling like, okay, so if you know that you're going to go, hey, we're doing this. I know it's after the time that I said that I would be home, but this is what's going on, and we're doing this. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
It's the whole point that you feel like, oh, if you communicate with me until 6 a.m., then it's fine.
Yeah.
No, because now that means that I've been sitting up here waiting for you up, and I done missed sleep.
And because it turns into
I can see that.
Exactly. Melanie Fiona. But because I feel like it turns into a whole thing. No longer because your partner's no longer thinking about, oh, they missed the time. It's like, okay, what happened? Did they get hurt? Are they pulled over? Are they in jail?
Hospitals?
I always question that worrying though. That worrying is stressful in my eye. Like for me, it's stressful. And I will say this though, I'm kind of like reverse on that though, because I will call and keep in contact with a person, but I'm also a firm believer when somebody wants you to know something. I know that things happen, but I feel like you also know certain patterns too with people, and you could tell when something's right, not right. That's just how I study my partner.
I feel like if you know your relationship,
like
you know that person. Like, you know what they're going to do. You study your partner.
But some people are unpredictable. My thing is,
you're
not going to have me.
Some people are complete wild cards.
Some people are complete wild cards, and I completely agree.
My thing is, you're not about to have my blood pressure up. I'm not going to go out here looking for you. Like, you need to give me some kind of notice.
Okay, because
that might
be well, for me, it's more of like, you know, with our show, we also like to talk about the black element. Yes. I mean, for us, you know, me not hearing from you, and it's like hours past you coming home. Like, the first thing I'm thinking about, did you get stopped? Were you drinking?
Yes.
Did you get a DUI?
Were you in jail or hospital?
Shoot, it could even be, did somebody shoot you?
Yeah, like, jail or hospital.
We don't know, especially with us living in the Deep South. I don't know how it is in Nevada, you know, when you were in...
Okay, it's the same. Them police officers ain't friendly to black people. And then let me say this. For our black police officers, we are not talking about you. Like, you know, we show love to our black and blue.
Yes.
Well,
it's just that there's certain one of you guys, like there's certain people...
Because before you go there, I do want to say real quick, Miss Chelsea, you know, to the listeners, we understand that all skin folk ain't kinfolk.
Yes.
There are plenty of black police officers who are out here enforcing racist policies.
Yes.
So to the people, if you are not racist, then this does not apply to you.
Yes, it only applies to the people that it applies to. And you know who you are, we do not need to speak on you. Voldemort. Clan.
Okay, so
Lord.
I want to ask this question because in some sense, we all have a quote unquote toxic relationship with our parents. You know, there's something that we deal with our parents because frankly, I'm a firm believer in the relationships we have reflect the type of relationships we have with our parents.
Yes,
I will say that.
So, how did you guys?
Because I had a great relationship with my parents.
But my question is, so
I feel like all relationships with parents.
So my question is, when you guys got to the age to where you could have your first adult conversation with your parents, how did that go with setting boundaries and like letting them know how they affected you?
Okay, so I'm just gonna put this out here. I feel everyone in this group knows I haven't had the most enjoyable relationship with both of my parents. I've had a falling out with each of them at separate times. Mm-hmm. I feel like they are great people. Like, I love my parents to death. Like, I know that I come from them and, you know, I carry parts of them. But I do notice that if I see something that I feel that is a toxic part of them that's coming into my life, I try to cut that loose real quick.
Yeah.
As far as how did my first grown conversation going, I don't feel like my first conversation was heard because I feel like my parents are old school. They're very set in their ways. Mm-hmm. Even if they do have proof of something, they may not just take that and then be like, okay, I understand. Yeah. It's more of a debate or an argument. My parents now, we're great. I'm on great terms with both of my parents at this point. Yeah. This has not been the same since I was 13 years old because I've been going back and forth between, like, I'm either good on with one or good with not, and everyone knows that I clearly did not have a good relationship with my mother up until just recently. And I can say that because, you know, I'm comfortable with talking about it. I'm not hurt by it anymore. I forgive her for everything that I feel like we went through together because I did stuff too. Same thing for my dad. Like, you know, we have our times, but I was just like, I know how to handle those situations and then separately because they're both individual people. They have two different mindsets. So there's two different ways that I have to actually go about telling them certain things. And I may tell one something before the other, and that's just based off because I know how they're going to actually take it and react to it. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you on several things. I feel like for me, with my parents, I had the typical, you know, teenage stuff that went on with my parents, but there also was another nuance to our conversations because of my sexuality. So the first adult conversation that I had with my parents, I actually didn't have with them until about, I want to say 2 years ago. That was the first adult conversation I had. And I will say that it actually went well on both ends because since my parents are older, they have now gotten to a place to where they can take accountability. Because I will say earlier in life, there was a whole resistance because they felt like they needed to protect that they were quote unquote good parents.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, for me, I felt as though that I was not seen. I felt like my existence was invalid. And I felt like I had to be somebody else just for my parents to love me. Mm-hmm. And when I told them that my parents, they took it in, they understood, they listened to it. And I'm very happy for that because after that whole conversation, I feel like within the past 2 years, I've grown so much more as an adult with who I'm choosing to be in my life, with how I'm handling my relationships. So I really feel like that relationship that you have with your parents, it's really important on how you see relationships with other people.
Okay, well, I'm a little jealous because I didn't get to experience that. Like, when my dad passed when I was 14, so I didn't really get that experience with my dad. Mm-hmm. And with my mom, the most adult conversation we really had was when I went on birth control. Mm. And we talked about, like, boys and...
But my question
that was it. Before she passed.
Yeah.
But see, that's not so fair to you, though. And Cassie, you stronger than what you even know. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of, I'm for real, just speaking up, because for you to say that, we're fortunate enough to have our parents around, right?
Yeah.
Both of them.
I believe
yes. You tough.
Yeah.
Both gone by the time I was 17.
Right.
That's hard.
And, like I said, I feel
like yourself.
And I feel like when it comes to our parents, I'm not saying anybody here has terrible parents. I feel like all of our parents love us. I feel like all of that is in its case. But I also feel as though there are still things that our parents did that affected us in a negative way.
Yeah.
Because my mom, when we sat down and we had that conversation, one of the things that she said, as your mom, I just wanted to pour everything I had into my children. And I was like, yeah, you did. You really did. You took care of us, blah, blah, blah. But she said, no, there's a bad part to that. Because with me pouring everything that I have into my kids, I poured my trauma, I poured my heartache, I poured my disappointments into my kids.
And that's not the good part about it as a parent.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like, those are the things that
she was still working on herself.
Exactly.
While she had y'all. And I will say, I'm probably in the same similar situation. Like, your mom to me, Malcolm Strong, you turned out beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
So, I like your mom. I look at that almost like my mom. I see certain things in women and I say, oh, she's strong. Oh. Mm-hmm. I start to be,
Yeah, because that was one of the things. That's one of the things I really appreciated about it, was because at that point, I didn't look at my mom as my mom. I looked at her as being human.
Right.
And I understood that, even though there were things that I really didn't like that she did, I understood she did the best with what she knew how to do.
35, 3 kids. Well, single, but I'll be claimed when I'm married.
I just hope to have the relationship that my parents had with me.
With your kids.
With my kids. Because my parents' relationship was, I love my parents' relationship. It was wonderful. And I want to be able to have that same relationship with my kids.
Mm-hmm. I believe you are. You are there.
I don't know, because sometimes, as a mother, sometimes I feel like you're failing,
Yeah,
no, Cassie.
That's our feelings because of what we be going through. We don't know how to separate certain things.
What I will say, if we're going into there, like, I don't have kids or anything, but if I were to have kids, and just thinking about the conversations that my mom's had with me, I will say this, that often we romanticize, like, our relationships with our parents and our parents' relationship. And we don't really, because as kids, most of the time we don't see, like, the rocky stuff that they had or the rocky stuff that they went through. So I would say, Cassie, if it's not perfect, it's not perfect. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you love your kids. So that's all children want. They just want to feel loved.
Mm-hmm. I feel you do a good job of that.
Yeah.
I feel both of you guys do. Because I feel like you guys, like, go through the most. Like, I've seen both you and Keisha struggle from, like, my perspective, and I'm like, you guys go through so much, like, you do it by yourself,
right?
So that, like, no one can sit there and tell you that you're not a bad mother because you do it by yourself and you guys do it and act like it's effortless. Like you act like you guys really act like it don't really be doing anything. Because if I was in your shoes, I'd be sitting here like sometimes I ain't gonna lie. When I be sitting here with Christian, I'd be like, I don't even know how I'm gonna do it.
But seriously, like going back to the topic, at the end of the day, honestly, there is going to be something that you're going to do to your kids that they're going to consider as toxic.
Yeah.
They're going to think about it as, you did this, you hurt me. And the only thing I would suggest, just coming off of how my mom interacted with me, is just be receptive to hearing what they have to say.
Because I'm going to end it on a keynote. I'm getting older. My mom's getting older. My kids are getting older. And I'm like, Mom, I see why you acted, or I see why you did. Let me take a step back for a moment. But she puts me in the mindset of just find a way to make a way work.
Yeah.
It ain't got to be, she's getting to a point where when I say it's blossoming into what I believe it can be, do what's best for you,
right?
Not for everybody else, and don't worry about.
And that's another.
She's always told me to have.
That's another reason why I envy y'all, because y'all have that parental advice y'all can get from y'all
parents.
Why I
say you're strong, baby girl.
I can get that from my sister, but at the end of the day, that's still my sister, not my mom or my dad. But
hey girl,
any
maybe,
information is good.
But here's the thing.
She here and doing it.
What I will say,
well.
I know we talking about mamas and stuff. One of the other things that my mom has said, a blessing for you is a blessing for somebody else. Who knows? Your mother could have been talking to my mother to me to talk to you one day. Yeah. So we never know that. But at the end of the day, I feel like, if anything happens, I just hope that we're all receptive to our kids.
Right.
Do it for the ancestors.
Yes, the ancestors.
Okay.
Now, you ready?
Now, changing topics a little bit, because I know we done talked about relationships and parental
friendships.
Have you guys ever had a toxic friendship?
Yes.
That you felt like you didn't know how?
I've been a toxic friend.
Either if you were a toxic friend or you had a toxic friend, and how did you go about either did you decide to remove yourself, or did you decide to remove them, or do you still currently have them in your life?
Okay, well, I will kick this off. First things, I believe that when we talk about toxic relationship, I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's both. Mm-hmm. I think that you're both toxic in the situation. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I've experienced several toxic relationships with friends. And what I've come to focus on now that I'm getting older is just the stuff that's in my control. Mm-hmm. And what's in my control are my boundaries. Before, I never had, honestly, any boundaries with friends. I was scared of losing people. I have this abandonment complex. So I never really told people when I was upset about things, or I never really expressed how I felt about things, or expressed how I feel about my boundaries, because I just wanted to make as little waves as possible with my friendships. And what that ended up doing is making me feel hurt, and then in turn of me feeling hurt, I was resentful, and then I started treating people like shit.
I kind of do the same thing. Cause my thing is, I notice I get too reliant upon people, and I start noticing myself doing little things to kind of sabotage the friendship. Or backing.
Completely
pulling away. I pull away, and I'm I noticed that with a lot of people I've done it. Even with childhood friends, there's a particular friend I've been friends with since 3rd grade, and I know I was making bad choices when I got to college. Mm-hmm. And I know this friend was she was my Jiminy Cricket. Yeah. And she would try to steer me on the right path, but I would be let me just ignore the fuck out of her. Let me just ignore her phone call. I'm gonna do what the fuck I want to do.
Just let me hide in my shell for a little bit, and But I really had to think about that, and it's a part of this type of manipulation type of thing. Mm-hmm. I call it emotional terrorism. What it does is
you say emotional.
Oh my god,
I'm gonna use that.
No, that's what I call it.
Emotional terrorism. Descripted by Malcolm Marx.
Exactly. Right. And if you use this phrase, run me my coin. So, but yeah, I feel like it's emotional terrorism because
I love y'all.
If I'm being completely honest, I had a great satisfaction knowing that if I pull away from somebody, they would freak out about it because they don't understand why I pulled back.
That is emotional.
Okay, that's you're taking kind of a sadistic.
You're taking like a cold shoulder and making it even worse.
Right, and I feel like that was my toxic trait in my relationship.
You know, there's like two
and I can attest to this. I have felt this. We all had situations in this group. I'm telling you that we all didn't talk to each other. Or we all had an issue with each other. Even though that issue is now not the case, I can attest to this.
I will be real. Me and you have like a superficial friendship.
Yeah, we will say
it's like our mutual friend was Chelsea.
Because I considered you to be Chelsea's friend.
And I considered you to be Chelsea's friend too. And
I thought they was friends.
I would be like, okay, I see him at the store. Hey Malcolm, how you doing? That's it. That's all I got for him.
Yeah, you did the same thing with Keisha.
Because I consider Keisha your friend. Like, I didn't really get to know them like that. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, because, I mean, we never really actually sat down and got to know each other. I will say I got to know Keisha a little bit more because Keisha, like, came out with us. But, we never...
of everybody.
Exactly.
I say me and Malcolm have a love-hate relationship. We be emotional on certain things. We have a deep understanding. I believe that, if anything... When it comes to stuff, now, like, that's bullshit.
But I will say, for all of us, I mean, there have been toxic things that happen, but I never considered any of you guys to be toxic towards Chelsea. No. There's only one friend that she has, or actually a couple that
we're not going to talk about that person. Let's not talk
about that person. We're going to open this book all the way up.
We're talking about this person.
We're going to talk about multiple people.
Okay. I need more wine.
You're going to sit down.
And y'all going to make me. I'm done with y'all.
Sit down.
Come on, sit down.
I'm going to need one. She's talking about this person. We need more wine. Okay, hold on.
And y'all know how I start.
And this episode is brought to you by Sutter Home because we drank 4 of their bottles already during this actual conversation.
I feel like we need more wine.
Just so you guys know, but we're now talking about toxic relationships.
Yes,
they're referring to 2 people that I currently had a toxic friendship with. Now we are not going to say names because we're not disrespectful like that, but we will drop the tea. So I had 2 friends. One of them was Caucasian, and the other one is Black.
And the Caucasian one we've actually spoken about before on the show.
Yes, we have. She is the one that currently resides in Vegas that I do not currently talk to, and the reason why that was a toxic relationship was
she's
because
a racist.
Yes, she, like Malcolm said, she is a racist. I've never physically... Okay, so she was the one friend that I actually had that used to say the N-word that I had to repeatedly tell her that, if you ever came here, that's not going to fly.
It's not going to work.
My friend.
I'm not calling you.
And we've been friends.
Nigga Josh.
We were friends since 2009 up until 2018.
Yeah.
Of September. So, yeah. And we had been long distance friends because we lived together in New Mexico. Like, she wasn't saying this type of stuff when I was actually hanging around her then, back in 2009 when we were in New Mexico. But, later on throughout the years when you're on FaceTime, I would catch her saying it, and I was just like, I would repeatedly tell her, but, it was something that I guess clearly she wasn't taking heed of.
Yeah, because if you express your boundaries, I feel like if they're truly your friend, they will understand that, hey, this is something that my friend does not like and she finds hurtful. I should not be doing this. And at least if you want to do it, just don't do it around me.
I'm going to be real with you. With this friend, I did not like the fact that she called the black guys that she met nigga Josh, nigga whoever, nigga who this. It's just like,
take my cup and go somewhere else.
No, you are gonna stay here. You're gonna stay for this conversation
because we're reading everybody in this conversation.
I completely agree. I feel as though when it came to that particular friendship, looking from the outside in, I just felt like she never took into account how you felt about things. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that.
And you really I feel like for her too. I will say that too.
You did,
and I feel like that was.
I didn't like her.
That was the toxic trait that I noticed. Now, in regards to your other friend, Actually, they were pretty similar. I feel as though she did not take into account how you felt about things. Yeah, she was a narcissist.
Yes, I feel like Peach is secretly, and this is not her name, this is just what we call her.
She's
in
love
Peach
with
is
you.
secretly in love with me. And I've heard that from plenty of people who tell me the experiences that we had. Anyone who consistently goes and tries to befriend my exes and then have them pay your phone bill and then have them pick you up and you act like y'all the bestest friends, but y'all only know each other because of hence our breakup.
Well,
so
I can.
That's kind of fishy. Like that doesn't sound right.
But I can
never get over some of the stuff. Like I'm just gonna put this out here because maybe she doesn't know, but I've made it very clear. Like I'm trying to move past the time when we had issues going on, and I feel like there was a really good friendship in there. Like she was not all the way bad all the time. It's just that she's toxic. Like, as in, like, she would ruin the situation because I've seen her do this to multiple people. Exactly. Multiple friends. It was different if it was just like, okay, well, maybe it's just because me and her bump heads because, we're similar, but we're not similar in a good way.
Right.
But why befriend your exes, though, unless she's want to make sure you don't go back to them?
Well, I mean...
I don't know. She asked to be in a relationship with one of my exes.
But here's the thing. Before we go going into, like, things that she did, what I can say is I do relate. I understand because I did have a friend who actually fell in love or was in love with me. And it did affect our friendship and it affected relationships that I had because that person was, quote unquote, in love with me. Like it got to the point to where I felt like I was being put in the middle of choosing between having my friend and having my partner. Because they're both saying, you're not spending enough time with me. Why are you hanging out with this person? This person's not good for you. And I'm getting that on both ends. Yeah. And that was very difficult to me.
Oh, maturity.
When I was going through it in the beginning. And it really just rocked me. But once I actually sat down, I took a break, and I was like, okay, this is what's going to happen. You ain't gotta like my partner. My partner doesn't have to like you. But what is going to happen, both of you guys are going to respect me and respect my choices and what I want to do. And if you can't respect your position, guess what? You could play by yourself, bitch. Like
I will go with you on this because I actually tried a relationship with a friend and it didn't work out because I think at the end it was kind of too close to home because we were friends first and it didn't work out. And at this point, with my friend, it ended up being like, do I choose my friend or my family? Because it kind of got to that point where it was really intense. And
girl, do it make you happy? Light out.
But my thing is, me and my friend were not in love with each other. Like, we knew we weren't in love with each other. We tried it.
So y'all just knew what was good for y'all through the course.
But what I will say,
a toxic relationship.
Honestly, if I'm going to piggyback off of that, I feel as though that sometimes we are in situations where we don't love the other person as far as it being in a relationship. But I feel like a lot of us don't cut it off because we don't want to be the quote unquote bad person.
Nobody wants to be a bad person.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to be
being a bad person.
Oh my
gosh.
And on that,
like really.
And on that note, so we're gonna get real deep and real truthful in this actual conversation. So I'm gonna start off the story, but my question actually is: have you ever been violent? Or have physically put hands on someone in your relationship and actually worsened the situation, if not added to it?
Oh, I don't want a court case. I don't know.
Well, I can start this off if you don't mind.
Okay, and then I'll piggyback off you.
Okay. I'll start this off by saying no, I haven't. I've never physically touched my partner in a way like that. Me personally, I feel as though that's something that I've seen before and I have an aversion to violence. So once I see that, I'm out. Like if I see that type of aggression in you or if I see that, I'm out. And I just know it's more so a protection for me because I just have a strong aversion to that because of what I've experienced.
Okay, I guess I'm gonna go next. Okay, me being honest, I have gotten physical, but honestly, it was only with one person, and I think you guys know who that person is.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say I was the aggressor in that situation because I feel like at that point, my own reaction was to get violent to get them to get away from me because I tried walking away. I honestly tried walking away, but this person followed me. So I did have to.
Do you feel like you were triggered?
I feel like I was triggered.
But did you voice that you were being triggered?
I did voice. I loudly voiced I was being triggered. And like, there was someone trying to get in between us, but they kept pursuing me.
Yeah.
And at this point, I felt like I had to kind of get physical or they were going to get to me first. So I'm not going to lie. I punched this person in their shit.
Okay.
And at the end, this is with this person, it happened a couple of times. Like, it happened a couple of times. And there's always that one person that got in between us.
Yeah.
And y'all know who this person is. I don't want to say for a reason, but y'all know who this person is.
What about you, Miss Jays?
Okay.
Cassie Love, gosh.
You know who the person is.
I know.
Okay, we
all know.
We're okay.
Y'all know I'm not violent.
We know, but
Cassie is not a violent person. I just want to quote that these are experiences that we have. These are not our daily emotions, but this is something that we've had either in a toxic relationship or vice versa.
Well, I mean, all of this is just to start the conversation. So what about you, Miss James?
Okay, so of course I have gotten physical and I have been in an abusive relationship.
Chelsea. I like that time.
I've had both. I've contributed and I've received. So, okay. So, in my last relationship, I kind of did a little bit of both. There was a situation where me and an ex had got into it. Unfortunately, it was at his mother's house. And don't know exactly what the argument had actually started over. I do believe it had to do with something about a lie. But I had tried to leave the argument and to go, have some time to myself. I had in this time, weed is legal
where you were,
where I was at the current time. So I took that, which the ex had purchased, and went down to the basement. Well, not basement, to the garage, the smoke. And I went to the bathroom to use the bathroom, but then I was proceeded with, bangs on the door and stuff like that. I had alerted him that I was in the bathroom. I opened it up. Of course, he was in my face. I had repeated multiple times because, to me, all I kept retreating back to is my last abusive relationship where another one of me and my exes got into it. He punched me in my face. I had to call the police. I had never felt like that up in this relationship at all that I currently was in until that point in time. We had never got into anything else physical. We had gotten into simple arguments, but it had never been this deep. And I had never seen him act like that towards me, especially off of something so simple. Of me just walking away because I was just done talking about the situation. So when I felt triggered, I had smacked him in his face. And, of course, that was a big thing. You smacked me in my face, that back and forth argument, and I'm just okay, well, just let me leave the bathroom because we had ended up in the bathroom. At that point, he wouldn't let me leave, and he had kind of pushed me up against the mirror and was you hit me, and I spit in his face because at that point I felt like he was going to choke the fuck out of me. For a little dude, he was strong as fuck. And I really felt like I did not have no match against that. I felt okay, the only thing that would work against me is the condition that you're in right now. and I'm not going to speak on that condition because that's not my business, but he had a condition. Y'all know what that condition was, and we weren't going to talk about that. So, yeah. I contributed, like, the ending of that actual situation. Like, we had both sat down and was like, we can't ever get like that with each other again. Like, that can never happen. Like, I explained my situation. I believe he actually understood where I came from when I explained that. But, I mean, it's not to say I didn't see that anger again. I just didn't react the way that I did to it that night that I did when both of us contributed. It's just that, like, when you start seeing that multiple times, that's when I knew I had to actually exit out of that relationship because I felt like I knew where this was going.
Yeah.
And coming from a childhood that I experienced that, there was abuse in between my mom and my dad.
Yeah.
Like, everyone knows that. That's not anything new.
That's typical for us, once again, Black History Month.
But it was to a point where, I've seen...
Okay. No, because I feel like this is leaning into a different conversation now, because...
Not deleted, but it's just...
I don't feel like that is typical. I feel like that is something that is shown a lot, but I don't feel like that's a typical situation because many people have not experienced that.
Only say that as in generational curses.
Yes.
A lot of families have.
But I don't feel like that's completely restricted to Black people.
Yeah. So you think that's every race?
I think that's every race.
Yeah, I feel like that's every
That's every race because
you never know with some. I don't know.
Like I can say I've never experienced that with my mom and dad. Like that whole no.
Just to finish off what I was saying, it's just that coming from that type of household into seeing this in front of me, there were certain things that made me resemble certain things of my parents' relationship that I like, toxic things that I did not want to have in my current relationship that was considered a healthy one. So that's why I needed to disconnect myself from that.
Do you think that affected how you choose men?
Yes, extremely. Like the situation between my parents, yes. Because if I see certain things, certain qualities that are toxic from my parents in that person that I'm dating, I'm very quickly to cut that off and just abandon shit. And it could be, a good person. It's just that I'm not willing to sit there and risk my sanity because that's all I'm going to continue to think about. Oh, he's just like, these are the toxic things that I did not want. This is not what I want. And I want to feel completely sane, at peace, and in love in my relationship. I don't want to feel like
it's not safe.
It's not safe. Or it's like, and it's not to sit there and say that, the ex that I did have that with is like a horrible person, because he's not. It's just that he wasn't the right person for me. Yeah, and when we were together, there were just certain things that just did not mesh. And I wish him all the best. If he ever does, listen to this.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, now we can move on to Miss Keisha. Oh, the sigh.
I speak from both perspectives. I always say it's never fun being out of that. Like, it's never fun being on the other side of anything you create. Yeah. Because once again, I feel like we all create our energy to some extent with certain people. We let certain things from our past affect us, and I realize it affects other people. Mm-hmm. I had to really point out, Malcolm and Chelsea checking up on a girl. I might not do the same all the time, and I can acknowledge that. I can. That's the honesty.
We just be checking on you. Okay, so let's just be really real. Let's just be really real.
They be checking up on a girl.
I know. It's just that certain situations that have happened, I feel like we have to do that with you, because I feel like sometimes that,
and I'm gonna be real, I feel like it's not my place because we're not that close yet. So I feel like it's kind of not my place yet.
Wrong for you, Cassie.
Huh?
I said, girl, you are. Okay.
But I feel like, we're not that close yet. We're working on it, but we're not that close yet. So I feel like it's not my place to kind of do that yet. You know, I don't know if it's me.
Because that's why I feel like Cassie's more hesitant towards you, but I feel like you're like open arms, but she's just like, I feel like if it's known, then it would be.
And I try to
figure out that point for it. I feel like
I'm always hesitant towards stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, just to wrap this back around, because I feel like this is going into like how we handle friendships.
Yeah.
More so, like Keisha, how do you think? Like just the different relationships that you have,
or
like
your current.
How have they affected you with?
I will say this: I feel like I can deal with toxic people, but then once again, it's like a reflection of who I am.
Yeah,
and it's either gonna help me get better, get bigger, and I realize that reflection might change over the course of time too, because like y'all say, sometimes we know family is always gonna be forever. Family is always gonna be that
until they cross you.
Yeah, no. And even then, sometimes, well, you just know where to put people at, just like they know how to put you where they want you at.
Yeah, that's true.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, there's certain cousins I don't talk to just because, like, you know, I love them.
Well, I mean, honestly,
I just don't have a daily conversation.
I'm gonna be real. With immediate family, it's hard to let them go, especially if you don't.
Well,
me personally, not having parents, not having my parents living,
you tend to cling
hard.
To them.
I cling to my immediate family.
Well,
like outlanders.
But
not really, but my immediate family.
Well, for me, honestly, I think it's just more so of it's just how you think about it. Mm-hmm. I don't think of it as like letting people go. I just think of it as knowing your boundaries. Yes. I feel like the cure for toxicity is boundaries. Are your boundaries?
You gotta settle, like, and let a person know right then and there.
Just because I have this boundary with this person doesn't mean that I love them any less. Doesn't mean that I don't care about this person. It just means that I care about me enough to keep me safe, and that's pretty much it. Like I have family that I don't talk to because I know that they're homophobic. I have family that I don't talk to because I know they're anti-black. Like there's just several things. So. You knowing your boundaries and what you want to have around you, I don't look at that as like you cutting your family off or you not caring about family.
Don't be real. Like with immediate family, the only people like that's immediate I have left are my brother and my sister. And like my sister, she checks on me every day, calls me, texts me like every day. And with my brother, I kind of don't know where my boundaries are with him because I don't honestly know.
He's younger.
No, both my siblings are older than me. My sister is 19 years older than me. My brother is 14 years. I'm the baby. So with my brother, I kind of don't know where my boundaries are with him.
You're his sister.
I know I'm not his only sister because he has siblings from his dad. But I don't know where my boundaries are with my brother. My sister, I do because my sister, regardless, whatever we're going through, she always calls and checks on me.
A little bit more time.
It takes time.
Brothers can deal. I will say brother. No.
It just takes time. Now, what I will say, because we are running with our time, so we will head into our Black Note of the Day. And our Black Note of the Day is going to Mr. Lewis Latimer. I'm sorry, you guys. Sutter home. Makes you feel at home. He is an inventor and engineer. He was born in Chelsea, Massachusetts, September 4th of 1984, Virgo season. So he collaborated with Thomas Edison. He was actually the person who invented the filament within the light bulb to give it its glow. So he's a great inventor. Also worked with Alexander Graham Bell, who created the telephone with the help of Mr. Latimer. So anytime that you're paying your light bill or paying your cell phone bill, just think a black man made it happen. So we would definitely appreciate you guys liking this conversation, commenting. Let us know about your toxic relationships, how you handle them. If you think that our ideas are crazy.
Help us grow.
Yeah, help us grow.
Help us grow.
Stay with us. We'll see you next class. Peace.
Because as a group, we are very strong. We've each went through our own falling outs in between the groups, if not with each other. So that's currently what the topic of conversation is. I know me and Malcolm have actually had a falling out. It wasn't really... I don't consider it like a falling out. It was just we just didn't really speak to each other, and it was just based
like
off.
A break.
It was a break.
And it's a break.
It was a break.
And what I will say about the break, And I think with the break, because I don't want it to seem one-sided, that's kind of what I wanted to explain to you when we had the conversation the first time. Because I actually didn't talk to my sister for a while. And the reason being is because I personally felt hurt by the both of you guys. Because I felt like in that particular situation, I understand that y'all had y'all's own issues. But I also feel like within that situation, you guys both lost respect for me. Because as my friend wouldn't talk to my sister this way. And as my sister wouldn't talk to my friend this way. So that was the reason I pulled back from both of you guys for a while.
I think I'd be way more detection.
And I'm not in defense of Malcolm, but I'm going to say this. He did tell you. He did warn you before. He did.
Also, I did say do not move in together.
I know you were upset because he didn't specifically go into details about it, but he did technically warn you.
Yes, and then in my response to both, I completely understand where you come from because I felt like, that wasn't fair dragging you in between it. Even though at times I felt like I didn't necessarily drag you into it. It was just like there were certain situations that I didn't understand that I felt like you better knowing that's your sister would know how to handle that. Yes, indeed. He did tell me that, I feel like based off both your personalities that you may not be able to live together. I
didn't say marry. I said do not live together.
You said do not live together. But in that defense, I was like, okay, so is he just jealous? Because I know me and Malcolm were really close.
He did not
we
give
hung
specifics.
out. We gave, you didn't give specifics to me, and I'm like, okay, well, he's not showing any like red flags for me to look out for. He's just saying this. So I'm like, okay, so is he just jealous, or is he maybe just want us to live together? Because I know I would prefer to live with him because I would be able to. I feel like the only people that I feel like out of my friends that I could live with is probably either the three of y'all or the two of y'all. I feel like I would be, because I know your temperament. I know you guys. I've seen you guys in all elements. So I feel like, okay, I know how you guys would react towards certain stuff.
Yeah.
So, I didn't know if it was that. So then, me and his sister, we got along great. Like, we had really deep conversations. Like, she is a beautiful person. Like she's very different, but, like, she's a different that, like, is extraordinary. Like, she's, like, she has her own way of thinking, and she's very talented in very many ways. Yes, and she was.
I like your sister.
If we can have her as a co-host one day on this show, we definitely will.
No, because the thing about it was, I didn't think that you guys wouldn't like each other. I knew that you guys would like each other because there are things that you guys have in common, including smoking. Like, I knew that was a thing that you...
I am a 420 supporter.
But my issue was, like I said before, it was just, I feel like in the heat of what was happening between you two, I was put in the middle, and I feel like the respect for me was lost, so I pulled away from both ends. And I think that on both ends, like, you guys kind of thought I was taking sides, because, no, I didn't tell Felicia that, I pulled away from you, and I didn't tell you. They know who my sister is. And I didn't tell you that I pulled away from Felicia. It's just that I felt like this was strictly between me and you, whatever issues I had with you, and I didn't need to bring my sister into that. So that's why I kept it that way. But yeah, I never wanted you to think that I wasn't like your friend or not trying to reach out because, I was just like on the Felicia wagon. Because no, I feel like honestly in that situation, I feel like both y'all were wrong.
Out of it, because that's how Malcolm feels.
And
y'all handle that shit.
And I feel like,
it's like you're afraid that your brother.
And honestly, I felt as though that I told both of you from the beginning that this is a bad idea. And I feel as though that
people gonna speak their mother.
Both of y'all should have taken my advice at that time. Oh my.
Oh, but yeah. So I definitely was like, the whole situation in itself. I felt like, okay, I'm at a breaking point where I feel like I may fight her. And I don't want to do that based off because me and you are friends. I would never feel like I would need to get physical, but she was pushing me to that point, and I felt like maybe he can come in and actually save the day. That's why I feel it was like a miscommunication, because I feel like I felt in some cases I was voicing that, but at the same time I was like, I don't really want to tell him that I'm going to beat his sister's ass, but I feel like he knows that I'm getting to that point. But maybe that wasn't coming across. Because I didn't really voice that opinion.
No,
I was just
I'm not gonna lie. She voiced that to me.
No, what I will say is that I did get that from you, and I did pick that up from you, and I also picked it up from her.
Yeah.
Now, like, Felicia's not here to defend herself, but with the whole situation itself, we're just strictly talking about us. With us, I just feel like in that particular situation that.
I wanted you to stand. I just felt like you should have standed up more, but I understand why you didn't because of the situation.
As an outsider coming in with a similar situation, when certain things happen between like siblings and other friends, everybody else just kind of like step back. They make y'all acknowledge y'all wrongs, and it'll work itself. Like honestly, it'll work itself out if you mean well.
Because I know I used to ask Cassie daily, I said, you seen Malcolm daily? Because when we were talking, she's like, I ain't seen Malcolm, but I did see Keisha. Like she used to tell me about the time she saw you, and I was like,
most of the time when you see me
with your kids
and shopping. Is that.
And I saw both of y'all at Walmart, and I would tell her.
And then at the therapy session.
But the thing was, like, where I was coming from is just, I felt as though there was at least a certain level of respect that you would have, because for me, like we had another incident like years before, like with your sister, and I feel like I never personally addressed Dominique because I felt like as my friend I should voice that to you, and then you be the person that addresses her, because I never wanted to come off disrespectful to your family.
Yes. And I understand that point because you didn't get a chance because we didn't go back there,
right?
And she was never there. So I understand that point. It was just different because me and your sister were together.
Yeah, y'all lived together.
Yes.
Can I get into it? Because I've had this incident between friends and family. But it's actually got physical with my friends and family.
Oh, my.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I actually...
but me and Malcolm have actually reached to a point where we are still...
Oh, yeah, we good.
We good.
Well, I actually had an incident where I was living with a friend and a family member at this time. And I could lie, my family member would do certain things to set people off in the house, particularly me.
Was this person a male or a female?
We're not going to go into that, okay?
She said she's not ready.
But you have to be honest.
Okay, it was a male. But I've talked to you about this. Me and this male family member got into it before. Me and this family member got into it before the roommate got into it with them. And I wanted to send them back home because they put their finger in my face. And like me and this family member, I love them to death. Love them to death. I would do anything for them. Outside of my kids, like this is the family member. Outside of my kids and my sister, this is the family member I would probably die for. Outside of my kids and my sister. But he, put his he put his finger in my face when he was living with me. And, it kind of drove me to a point where I was like, he got to go. But this roommate was the one that taught me to know he needs to stay. This is my friend who told me he needs to stay. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay. I'm thinking in my head, okay, he's going to stay, but wait till he gets into it with you. Then we're going to see what's going to happen. Then he gets into it with them. That he's doing little slick stuff to get into it with them. Then it all comes to, at this point, it started coming to a head. So I'm like, I take me and at this point I have a baby. I take me and my baby out of the situation. I finally come back to the house. This family member and my friend get into it. Like a physical altercation. In this house that we are renting at this time.
Yeah.
And my family member takes it to an extreme point where they, stab this person's TV after they fight, everything, And I'm thinking in my head,
Because
I told you. I'm thinking in my head like I told this friend how I was gonna be with this family member.
And
This is my family member.
And leave.
No.
But my thing is, I'm thinking in my head. I told this friend how this family member was. I love this family member to death. Like I would do anything for this family member. But I told my friend how this family member was, and you still want this family member to stay. And I love both of y'all, but it's like, what do I do at this point? Because both of y'all have gotten into it. And I know this family member initiated it. And I don't want to
appear like you're taking sides.
Yes.
Because here's the thing.
Because you don't have to.
Honestly, I feel as though, because basically the conversation right now is talking about how we handle like our friendships or relationships after stuff happens. And I feel like, when it comes to that, like, you really have to take a step back and you have to try to look at the situation objectively first. Because at the end of the day, right is right, wrong is wrong. And when people are wrong, you have to be able to tell people that they're wrong. And when people are right, you have to be able to, be like, hey, you're right about that. So, I mean, I understand where you were coming from.
Because the only thing is, this is a family. I love this friend to death.
Like
and I love this family member to death.
Think
and
about
I'm
you.
like, I did not want to choose because this is the friend that I ended up getting.
You let them be.
Like, my thing is,
my choice is always to remove myself from a situation.
But
just let them be.
It got even more complicated because this is the friend that I actually tried a relationship with.
Let them be. Boo.
But I can't. This is a friend, like, I really honestly regret the way things ended between us.
They're still gonna be there. They're supposed to be there.
Yeah. Okay. Because this family, but it's not. My thing is, it's my family member. I can't let my family member. This is like because I've always lost my mom and dad. And I can't let this my family member.
They're always gonna be.
I personally don't believe we should have an expectation of people always being there.
Yeah.
Because I feel as though like when it comes to relationships, just like I have my boundaries and I have my last straw, somebody else has their last straw. And I feel like when we start looking and thinking of people as always being there, that's when we start taking advantage of them. Because we know, okay, no matter what we do, they're going to be there. So
that's not always the case.
I'm not. No, I can't say that.
Switch up on you.
I can't say that because I'm always the one that's always there, no matter how I get done.
Me too.
I get mistreated.
I feel like,
and I'm gonna.
Like that? Okay, so no lie, between all of us, I feel like I'm the glue that holds all of us together. Because I'm the one that brings all of us together.
Well, there's a reason for that, and within our specific group that we have here. You are the central friend because this is very different. Because Keisha's your friend, Cassie's your friend, and I'm your friend. So that's the reason that you were the glue.
Because we wouldn't know each other without you.
But I get what you're saying though. When she says she's the glue, she draws us to her.
Yeah, she does.
Because we also have an understanding. I believe, Cassie. I told y'all water signs. Oof.
What are you?
A Sagittarius.
She's a fire sign.
She's a fire sign, right? She loves us. She loves us.
I know the dynamics.
So why we got 2 water signs, an earth sign, and a fire sign?
First of all,
somebody gotta put somebody out. It's not gonna be you.
First of all, water signs is fantastic.
Ooh. Okay, before we even get
into I'm the tree since I'm the earth.
Yeah.
And me and Malcolm water.
And you the water.
I can rebirth.
And you burn shit.
I'm sorry, destroy and rebuild.
Okay, so you're the earth. Keisha destroys your earth. Me and Malcolm water and rebuild that shit. There we go.
I help you, but I have to go through that pain.
You go through that pain, yes.
Okay. Before we go,
I'm done. No. And you supposed to be out. Ooh.
Before we
even go, you out too. Because you fire.
I'm done with all y'all.
All this Keisha, shit. You are part of the rebirthing process. So why you doing with us? We rebirthing.
This is A.
We can't rebirth without you.
My rebirthing process. I'm with it.
We can't rebirth without you, girl.
No.
What you mean?
I'm done with you. After
done. Keisha, we can't rebirth without you. What you mean? People burn their crops. People burn their fields to rebirth. We need you.
I like the side y'all bring out of me. Honestly. Fuck that.
Girl, you love us. Stop lying.
No, here's the thing. At the end of the day, when it comes to like dealing with relationships with our friends and our family and taking sides. I never believe in putting yourself in that situation if it wasn't your situation.
I feel like I always get put in that situation. I'm not gonna lie.
But here's the thing. I feel like I used to be like that. And the reason I used to be like that, because that was before I started being firm in my boundaries. Because I feel like if you ask me something from the beginning and I tell you no, anything after that is not...
Okay,
that's not on me.
I'm gonna be real with you. I have a hard time saying no, especially when it comes to my family, because
I feel like
my family is all
we talking about.
This is a question.
My family is all I have. I don't have mama or daddy. All I have is my sister, my brother, my nieces, my nephews. That's all I have.
Boundaries with you, and it's like kind of trying to find a.
Well, here's the thing. So with a group, do you guys feel like it's hard for you to tell people no?
Within our group?
No,
it depends on who it is.
Me, it's always
with y'all. Yeah, some other people. No.
In the group, I tell y'all motherfuckers no. I'm gonna be real honest with you. If I don't feel like doing it, I'm gonna tell y'all. Okay, y'all free. I'm gonna tell y'all I don't feel like doing it.
Okay, I'm gonna be real child.
That's the bare, but people don't understand that we so harsh with each other.
I'm not.
No, you will be.
And
I can be, but it's hard.
But it's necessary.
But the thing about it is, I don't
harsh, but we still.
Yeah, I'm be real with y'all. I'm only harsh when I get like encouragement to be harsh. I'm be real with y'all.
Girl,
it's hard for me.
Ready with you to uppercut.
No, but like
it's hard for me to be harsh with people.
But for me,
really is.
But for me, I don't feel like that's. I don't feel like that's being harsh. I feel like that's being. I feel like that's being honest. I feel like. I mean, just like today, both of y'all asked me, could I bring snacks? I said no, I cannot bring snacks. and that was just the simple truth of the matter.
That's why we eat biscuits for breakfast.
So I just feel like when you have an intimate relationship with people, you're able to just be honest about a situation.
And that's why I feel like my friendship with y'all two is growing, because I know we like all kind of derived from Chelsea, but I feel like my friendship with y'all is growing.
They derive from me.
Okay, Chelsea, we already know
it's natural, Chelsea, though.
But I feel like I need to like develop my own friendship with them. You know?
Yeah.
It's natural.
Because it was like kind of awkward when I would just run into.
I always say
DeKeisha at like the therapy appointment or something.
If I could, yes sir, yes sir. If I could, yes sir. Yes, ma'am.
Well, you know, people think me and Chelsea married all the time.
I know. Okay, so let me just put this out here. Every time that I'm walking somewhere with Malcolm at all, every time that I'm just, every time anywhere, people think that me and Malcolm are together.
It's not
we are together, but we are together as a unit, as in not in together, as in friends.
It's not. It's worse than that. It's not even with us just walking. People get to see us in a picture together.
Yeah, like you were okay. So I have
because y'all look like y'all are a fucking couple. I'm sorry.
Wait. First of all, I have this one picture where I am in a Ninja Turtle suit, and Malcolm is sitting behind me in a chair next to my bed. But the way the picture looks, it looks like he's sitting on top of my bed. So every time that I sent this picture to somebody be like, "Oh, so you got a nigga sitting on your bed?" I'd be like, "No."
Can I say something?
I actually have just
the way you and Chelsea take pictures. I'm gonna be real.
She gonna be sweet. I'm not gonna be
sweet.
That's where the balance.
Y'all motherfuckers look like y'all in a fucking relationship. I know y'all are friendship. Y'all are friends. Y'all are in a friendship. Whatever the fuck. But the way it looks. It's like y'all are fucking together, and it looks good.
Well, just so the world, wait.
Me and Malcolm don't like nothing about each other.
Well, just so the world knows,
except our personality.
Your titties.
I am Chelsea's gay best friend. She is my straight best friend. Period.
Yeah. Period. He was with me when I got my nipples pierced, and that's the only part of the body that he's done seeing because he thinks everything else is disgusting.
Oh, this is a real ass conversation.
Wow. Okay. No, I done been naked in front of practically all of y'all. Because I think I done got dressed at your house.
It's a freedom. You just gonna be who you are supposed to be in front of who you are.
Seen me. Hey, have you seen my nipples?
I have never seen your nipples.
Okay, so Chelsea, you don't want to see me naked.
I thought she seen you naked.
Maybe almost half.
Everybody has seen my nipple.
She's only seen me half, because I was talking about my dark ass nipple after I had kids.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
So she's only seen me half naked. Never seen
nobody
me.
in this room has ever seen me naked.
Oh, I'm
No,
I'm not gonna say that. You would look good naked, Malcolm.
Yeah,
you do.
Malcolm, that meat of us.
Okay.
He's that meat.
Thick that ass. Just look like you'll be looking good naked. I'm sorry.
Okay, so
Thank you. Thank you.
if GQ is listening, I need you to pick up Malcolm Marks as your next profile, because this man got it in all type of ways. He makes straight girls go, right?
Yeah, y'all can follow my other account _Thick Zaddy.
Oh, y'all is horrible.
We are honest. If anybody
Shoot,
if anybody endorse my freakiness, it's gonna be you and Malcolm. All y'all actually endorse it. Because I be sitting here like, yeah, I got it.
Well, I do have a question.
I
Because
believe we're all that at some point in time in life, honestly.
well, I do
Man
have
or woman.
right.
but it has to be a certain woman.
So I have to ask a question
It's
when
like-
it comes to dating straight men.
Mm-hmm.
So with you guys, how do you guys handle straight men if they are like misogynistic or homophobic?
Oh, okay. First of all, you can't be homophobic. I have a nephew.
Yeah, you
He's
can't
gay.
You can't be
And if you
homophobic.
can't be around my nephew,
Don't let this turn out the way I
what
think
the
it
fuck
is.
do you think I got anything to do? This is my family. Like, and I don't want to choose family over relationships, but this is my nephew.
And we're gonna have that conversation.
This is my nephew that's
Yeah.
been around forever. You think I'm gonna choose you over my nephew? Like, you gotta show me something. Like, this is my family. You have to be able to understand my family and deal with my family. If you're gonna deal with me, this is at the end of the day, my family.
Yeah, because I have this joke with one of my best friends. She lives up in Atlanta, Christina. We call straight black men the white men of the black community.
They are. Because they're trying it right now. Trying it.
Because I just don't... That's actually been an issue with some of my friends. Yes. That's actually been an issue with me. Sometimes, like, some friends I had to cut off because their boyfriends or their husbands, whoever their significant other was, were highly homophobic, and they just acted,
That's that bullshit.
yeah, and they just acted like it
really?
was normal.
Because now, you know what? People will not believe this about me, Malcolm. Will not. I don't be looking at like that. That's nothing compared to many other worlds. That's what I love about a Pisces. I will say that. Worlds.
No, I will say that a Pisces, we're always in a different place. Like
Because
Y'all are.
never
And
with nobody else.
I ain't gonna
They
lie, I
don't give a
love
fuck.
Pisces. Like, I don't know. What
no,
it is.
like, and it gets me into trouble all the time because I have a hard.
Does.
I have a hard.
believe-
I have a hard time being in reality, but the positive side to that is it gives me the ability to look at situations from multiple points of view because I'm always thinking about things from different perspectives.
Y'all are. I will give you
Ooh,
that.
the moons. When I say that's the other thing I notice about y'all water signs. Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, the moons, the way that it's set.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard somebody say like the way the waves roll in, depending on the moon, tides.
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
You said science earlier. Kind of makes sense. That's why I'm done with you.
That's why we water signs
Because
are
you're not
awesome.
gonna come into my life, Malcolm, and not. Like,
First of all, Tauruses are the one that's
Like I said, water signs.
We
are
know
fucking
all
he
awesome.
know what he got with me. He said, Keisha, you gonna drag have to pull her ass. Chelsea, you more ladylike, girl. I give you.
Well, for me as
Chelsea
as a
is.
Pisces, because we're called the death sign because we're the last sign of the zodiac.
Mhm.
For me, anything that doesn't need to be said. So my relationship, my loyalty, I just feel like you'll see it in my actions.
It's
It doesn't
stated
need-
already.
It doesn't need to be said. I don't feel like I have to compete with you. I don't feel like I have to tell you I'm the best because if I'm the best, it will show up.
Like I said, it's already stated.
It
No,
will.
it is.
She said, Chelsea, I'm done with you. Why? Because it would be you every time I say,
What? I told you I'm the
What
glue.
about Chelsea?
I'm the one. I'm the Nene of this conversation here, and then you the Kenya, and
But
you the Candy.
I know she was gonna be Candy. I ain't gonna lie, I love Candy.
Child, I don't know.
I like
Who
Candy.
are you?
Candy.
Please announce.
Whoa,
Come on,
what-
now.
what-
Are you my Marlo?
Well, what I
No,
will
because
say,
remember he
no,
was also
no.
the designated.
Marlo's kind of in
No.
between.
What I
Yeah,
will
you
say-
Cynthia.
What
You
I will
Cynthia.
say is that yes, I will say Chelsea. I would consider her to be the catalyst for the group because we all were Chelsea's friends.
Right.
Now, what I also will say is I don't necessarily think that you're the glue for the friendship. I feel as though that we all
Work our
are in a
ways.
place to work it in.
Okay.
But I do feel like you started it.
Oh,
So she was like the building block.
Yeah.
Yes,
You
I
are
was
the
the
building block.
foundation.
Yeah.
Okay, you want a foundation? We will
But
give
we
you
know
that.
you still see something beautiful.
Yes.
Stop it.
Yes,
We
I
are-
see beautiful.
Think about
All
we are
my
our
friends
own
are different
blooms.
species.
We are our own
They're
blooms.
not species.
Yeah, I have species
No,
of flowers.
We not from here.
Ooh.
Come on now.
You know I'm not
Oh,
a
no,
flower
we're not
person.
from
Can we
here.
think of something else? I'm not a flower person. Y'all.
Well, I'm a weed anyway.
I'm not a weed.
Why you gotta be a okay?
I'm
Because it grows from the roots with the
Okay,
flowers and everything
so I
else.
have
Shouldn't they try
okay.
to kill
Well,
it?
I'm
Why
gonna
would
ask
it be
this.
because
We ain't trying to kill
so
it.
I say
always try to
that
kill it, you know.
if I pick any plant that I was gonna be, I'm going to be a weed plant, and the weed
Can you
plant
be a
that I would
dandelion?
be. No, I'm not
I
gonna
have
be
a
a
tree
dandelion.
that
I'm not talking
grows
about
like
that
how-
weed, child. I'm talking about
She's
the
talking
weed
about
that you smoke.
cannabis.
The cannabis.
Uh-huh.
If I was gonna be any type of flower, I'm gonna be a cannabis flower because the reason why
But I just said
bring-
dandelion because dandelions flow everywhere and they
Well,
sprout everywhere.
I have a
That's why I
question.
give you the dandelion.
I
Well-
bring relaxation, pain relief to all and everyone who is around
Dandelion
me.
tea.
I absorb everyone's toxicity and I sit there and put out positivity.
Not all the
Does.
time.
That's why she got us three, and that's why she
That's
got
why
us
she has us three.
Like really,
Right.
No, can you
and
get
she
that
knows. She said
I
that.
do because I don't be sitting there telling y'all to do no crazy stuff.
No,
unless
no,
it's
no.
redeemed to do crazy
No,
stuff.
okay.
We all give her advice at the same
we
time.
have,
We
We
have-
have to.
We give each other advice.
Yes.
Yes, we
Yes.
do.
It's a circle. We grow.
It's gonna be. I'm done with y'all.
But
'cause
each
y'all
one of you
horrible
guys,
too.
I've always
Who?
told you guys
Why
to
we
do the
horrible?
positive thing. Have
No.
I not?
No.
Where have I told you to do that was not?
Ma'am, you have encouraged me to do quite a many petty shit.
Petty is
Hold up.
nothing.
Whoa. Okay. I'm going to just stop with this. You have encouraged her to do the same. Let's go.
Of course.
Okay, so y'all are encouraging each other. Y'all
no,
feed
do.
but-
y'all
You
feed each
encourage
other.
things.
But no, here's the thing. There's a
But
difference.
he do it accordingly too.
No, that's not it. That's not it. What I'm about to say is that's not the case. What I will say is I'm not sitting up here.
You encourage each other.
No, I am not sitting up here on Al Gore's internet trying to say that I've always told Chelsea to do the right thing. because
I ain't say you have. I just said
Y'all
y'all.
saying the same thing.
Okay, let me be real. I'm saying y'all encourage each other.
Recently, I have been saying to say positivity.
Okay, let me be real. Y'all have encouraged each other, whether it be negative or positive.
positive.
Y'all have
I
encouraged each other.
Yes, I would
I agree.
Now come on now, between y'all two,
They have.
ooh.
They have. No.
This get deep between no.
Being here from the beginning,
Chelsea,
they have.
Malcolm and Keisha.
Okay, so Cassie, real talk. How do you feel about my ex?
We're talking
But
about
I told you how
We talking about Julian.
we have spoken on how I feel about your ex multiple times.
Well, she's asking you.
Okay. I have to
This
be
will
nice
be
to
true.
this.
Okay, we
I
going
want.
Okay,
So we're gonna have a truth moment. We're gonna ask each other the question that we've been feeling. So I want to know exactly
Okay.
how you guys feel about my ex.
I like the way at times you felt with him. At times. But I think he was the person for you? Fuck no. And I told you that on multiple occasions. You know how I felt at the beginning. I thought he was
That's
an
how
okay
he would come out,
person.
Chelsea,
Am I not
yes.
lying though?
Uh-huh.
I told you how I felt of him as a person, but did I think he was the right one for you? Didn't I tell you he was not? I feel like it was gonna be nothing but fire and brimstone. What did I tell you?
Mm-hmm.
When you're good, you're good. When you're bad, the whole fucking world ends.
Chelsea ain't gonna like my answer.
So
She
do
not.
I honestly remember? Did
She
I honestly
like
think
it.
y'all were perfect for each other? Fuck no, I didn't.
Cassie's the only one that's been there from the start.
Right, I was about to
I was
say,
there from the
'cause
start, so I
can
can
see
see.
you guys came in.
I can see how it was from the beginning.
No, because
right
I was
when
about
we
to
were
say,
having our worst time ever, you guys.
no,
actually
that's
came
what I
in.
was. That's actually what I was.
I think align.
Well, that's what I was about to say.
Align.
Like I
Well,
said,
is-
I'm gonna
has
be real
this-
with
has
you. You are
this come
desperate for. There's better out there for you. I'm gonna be honest and real.
And what did I
I'm
say,
gonna be as nice
Chelsea?
as I
Did
can.
say,
There's
no,
better out there
Chelsea,
for you.
Okay.
Give honest advice. I say, what do you feel, Chelsea? Have I rode with you? Not all the way.
Okay.
And still don't think I'm gonna ride with you?
Okay. Are we taking turns?
I'm been there from the beginning though. You've been there, but I've been there from the beginning.
I know.
Okay,
And respect.
congratulations.
Where's due? Once again.
Malcolm.
So we all
Okay. We're on me now.
Okay. And
So,
then you
I love
Keisha.
it.
So
Malcolm.
okay. So when it comes to me, like Chelsea said, I wasn't there for. I wasn't there. I wasn't there from the beginning, and all I knew of him was when we started talking, and it wasn't too positive. So from my perspective of the relationship, I feel as though that no, it wasn't positive for you. It wasn't feeding you, and I feel as though that at that point in your relationship, I feel like you grew past him. I feel like there was a point to where he wasn't able to take accountability. He wasn't able to stand with you. He wasn't able to try to fix things with you. And I feel as though at that point you grew past him and you needed to find something else.
She don't never like to hear it from me though.
We do let it hear from you. That's what we always say. You
No, and she knows she my baby girl. That's gonna be my baby girl.
Keisha, that's why we always say you for last. We can hear your perspective. Come on, girl. Speak your truth. Speak yours. Agreed, man. Speak yours, girl. Come on, let's get it.
Because I mean, you were there.
That's why we always say you for last because you be giving some real ass shit.
Who's gonna be my baby girl?
Me.
Okay. Diva, bossy. Okay. Let's not.
All right, girl. We good. Let's go now.
Chelsea. We can go through it. I might have to be a little bit tougher than she is.
Because you like mama. You like mom. You like big sister.
But
Chelsea, what she gave you? Because she ain't telling us what she gave you.
I let Chelsea be her.
She
do what
used
you
to tell
do.
me, I'm not gonna lie, because I used to sit here and be like, you know what, because he's doing this, I'm gonna do this. And she's
tit
like,
for tat.
no, yeah, I'm the tit for tat. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm
She
tit for
might
tat
be
type
more
of
tit for
type
tat.
of person. Because
You're
I
more
feel like if
empathetic
I'm done
with certain
wrong,
shit.
then like
that
for
water.
you to understand where I'm coming from, I have to do you wrong too. And I learned my lesson in that. Like there's sometimes that I feel like I shouldn't have responded to certain things in my last relationship, but
a bull is too. Once again, don't go bothering it. It won't go bothering you.
You show me that red
flag. You show me that big sis mama shit.
I'm gonna put
you on big sis mama shit.
Okay. I will say this.
I'm like little sis get.
Well, I will say this.
Yes.
I will say this.
I don't know
We
what
all
I'm
have
on.
our ways.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I say that.
I'm on little sis tit for tat shit. Keisha on the big sis, big mama shit kind of.
It just depends on
Malcolm,
the
what
situation.
you on?
Well, here's how I think about the situation. For me, if you're coming to me and you're asking for advice on a situation, I'm not really a tit for tat
He said,
person.
once
I
again,
feel-
disclaimer, what? What did you say?
You just say leave.
Yes.
Malcolm was
I feel like
if you really don't feel like you belong, you should just leave.
Okay, so Malcolm
Yes.
on that big brother fucker.
But I mean, everybody, okay, so let's be real. Everyone at this table has told me to leave that relationship at one point in time because I felt like, okay, this is the situation that you should leave by. But I wasn't ready yet. I was ready to still try to work through it. I was like, you know what? Relationships aren't perfect. I can deal with this.
Right.
Like, this is something that I could get through. But when at the last moment, that last argument that we had, I was like, okay, this is something that's going to be repetitive. This is something that's not going to be able to be fixed.
Yeah.
And I need to be able to get myself out here. And no matter how I got myself out, that was the safest way for me because of the situation that I was in.
Yeah.
Can I say this? You got too fucking comfortable with that person.
Who?
Too fucking comfortable.
I did.
I'm gonna be real. Let me be real with y'all. You fucking settled when you know you could have done better, and I told you this multiple fucking times. That person, I'm not gonna say is a wrong person. That person's okay person for someone else, but not for fucking you. And I told you that on multiple occasions.
We got to do this
that person is not for fucking you.
Yeah, we got to do this one person at a time.
Ooh.
But what I will say is, okay, if we're gonna be completely honest about this, there is a pattern that you have, Chelsea. There's a pattern.
He didn't fit it.
And no, it's not that he actually fit the pattern. Chelsea as my friend.
Fine. He fit the pattern of that person.
She has a pattern of finding these men, and it goes good, and she gets comfortable in the good. And then when shit starts to pop off,
usually their fault. If you notice
I understand that, but also there has to be.
It's got to understand it. It's a boundary somewhere.
It is a boundary, but my thing is when it's usually Chelsea relationship, they honestly both go over the rules together.
I understand,
and then they somehow cross some shit.
No, but what I'm saying,
never ever going to benefit
what I'm saying
you in the wrong
is
way.
when we talk about getting comfortable, Chelsea does tend to get comfortable with people
at all times. She does.
And what I'm saying is, after they have a conversation about what their boundaries are, the one thing Chelsea will do, she tends to give people like the benefit of the doubt until it becomes too much.
Yes, she does.
And
that's she's a free spirit, though. But
I understand that. But you
gotta love that about you. She say, just don't fuck with me, and when you fuck with me, you better know when you. Yes, I will. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that either, Chelsea.
Girl, we've been cussing this whole fucking time.
No, but
she said when you fuck with me, you better know what you coming to fuck with.
But here's
because I'm not lying.
My thing is Chelsea loves she loves hard. She just wants you to respect that.
And I understand that, and I get that. But the thing about it is
reasoning.
How many times are you going to let somebody fuck you over? That's what I'm saying.
She does get multiple times.
Yes, and I appreciate that about her. I know Chelsea will always give somebody a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth chance. Chelsea and that she has a heart like that. And but I also feel like people.
I have a heart for those who I love.
Right, but I feel like people take advantage of that. Yes. I feel like a lot of people have taken advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. Be all right.
They do because Chelsea, I love you, though, but you be giving people chances that I wouldn't even get chances, and you know how I am personally. You know how I am.
Oh, I know.
So my thing is, you be giving chances.
Giver.
You give chances
because I always see I feel like I see the potential in someone even if they don't see it in themselves.
But my thing is,
and then it ends up being that I'm trying to save the person, and that's not something that I need to do. So that's something that I need to fix, and I'm very open and. I don't have to put that, I'm not in a denial phase. I've always been able to admit my wrong.
Well, I think is, me personally, I never want to see my friend hurt. Because when you see a friend hurt, it hurts.
There's plenty of times I done cried on the phone with Cassie and Keisha.
So but I mean,
I completely.
Because I was sitting here I can't do it no more.
I wouldn't even get.
When I tell you, for real, if we're being honest, I completely understand.
I understand why too.
I understand where you're coming from, Chelsea, because I also have a heart like that when it comes to people I love. Because I tend to get in these long-term relationships and I accept bullshit because I'm like, oh, well, I see the potential of. Hence my relationship with BJ. That was a 5-year relationship that ended in our third year.
Yeah.
So, and I kept going at that because I was like, oh, well, I see this. We could possibly be this. And I did not want to accept the fact that, hey, this is what this relationship is right now. Mm-hmm. And if you can't accept this right now, then you need to leave. So
that's always the deep question. Oh, that's a nasty question. And that's the whole thing, because sometimes
I feel like, in certain situations you're not able to leave because you don't have the certain finances or you feel like there's something that it's not even necessarily the feelings that you have with someone. It's basically based off your well-being.
Yeah.
Where are you going to go if you leave this relationship? And sometimes people feel caught up in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like we both were trying to escape each other in a way. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like Jay knew earlier on that he didn't want to be with me. Because there was, like, I'm going to even be real. There are certain situations where I feel like we were really in love with each other. And then, versus when we were just accepting each other. Mm-hmm. That we were just in each other's space. But we made each other roommates before it even came to that point. It was just like, it just didn't feel like we were in a relationship.
For a partnership in a lifetime, you're going to experience that multiple times over and over.
Yeah, that's very true. And I'm okay with that. Like, I was okay with working with that. But when you see that person isn't trying to work with you, it's like a done deal. You have to just be like, you know what? I'm done. Because I'm not going to beat myself upside the head with this.
I was just for another topic because I've never actually experienced that whole love kind of situation. Can we say that for another topic? Because I'm gonna be with y'all. Y'all have honestly went through like year-long relationships. I went through like a situationship with my baby daddy that I personally did not fall in love. I felt like
he fell in love with you.
I felt like I thought I felt love, but I feel like I honestly said I never felt love. So let's save that for another conversation.
So how do you feel about a person that fell in love with you that you're not in love with?
Dude, can we say this for another conversation?
Oh no, this is because your baby daddy is toxic.
Well, this is just outtake shit. Like,
why would he be the only one when you kind of got to go through things to kind
of... Because we went through things, relationship.
We went through things, but I honestly felt like I haven't felt love
until what? Just like a certain type of flame just...
I'm going to be real with you. I felt like I'm going to... Based on my personal experience and what I saw growing up, I'm going to honestly say I did not feel... I would say I have not felt love until what I've seen what my parents had.
Okay.
Because that's I've always experienced love from my parents, even growing up, even to the point my dad was paralyzed and my mom was taking care of my dad from the time my dad got paralyzed when I was 3. My dad didn't die until I was 14. That's 11 years of taking care of somebody you love. Like, this person cannot he cannot always feed himself. He is wearing diapers. Like, that's love.
Well, okay.
So I can't say I've experienced that love yet.
The only thing I do want to say about that, because sometimes that can be dangerous. Mm-hmm. And in the cases that it's dangerous is when we romanticize our parents and what they did. Sometimes, I'm not saying this is the case with your parents, but I've known a lot of people whose parents have been together for, 50 years, 40 years, 30 years. They've gone through like taking care of the other person. Many times those people aren't in love. It was just that at that point in time...
They feel obligated?
Yeah, they felt obligated. Because at that point in time, divorce was there, but many people didn't get divorces because you weren't supposed to get a divorce.
Because my grandparents was
but
married.
I can say I didn't feel that because my parents can have a song that they hear on the radio, and even though my dad was in the wheelchair, they would still, you can feel that love when they dance together or tried to dance together. Like, it honestly felt my mom was there because she loved my dad, not because she felt like she was obligated.
But I guess for me, the only thing is, I guess it's because of how like I view love. When it comes to love, like I feel like that is definitely a part of it. Mm-hmm. But I feel like, especially if it's a long-term relationship, like Keisha was saying, it goes through cycles. Mm-hmm. And I feel like love is definitely a feeling, but it's also a choice. Mm-hmm. Like, you choose to be with this person, and you choose to still be engaged with this person.
And you choose to still go through those cycles. Yeah. And you say you're going to be committed. Like, that's the committed.
Yeah.
Honestly. We don't want to be committed no more. I promise you.
I can say that.
Other ways will just whenever you're ready. Well, I will always say just whenever you're ready. Because I don't know how things work. I don't.
I'll cut shit off. I'm be real. Like, I just try to pretty much just cut shit off. If I don't respond to, like, if you notice I don't respond to a text, like, if I give you
so
like...
So you could be mad at that because you're looking out for her, right?
I'm going to be real with you.
Right by yourself first. Mm-hmm. Make sure you can deal with you and everything you are first.
Okay, I'm going to just be real with you. I know I have other, people I need to look at. I look at their feelings too. But ultimately, I'm going to look at my feelings too and how the fuck I feel about the situation.
Yeah.
If I feel a certain way. That's how I'm gonna feel, and I'm just gonna back away. I'm gonna be real. I'm just gonna back away if I feel like.
But do you communicate that first? That's the question.
That's where Malcolm keeps
I don't always. I'm gonna be real. I don't always
because I'm like that. I was the type.
Because sometimes I'm
back away from.
I'm always waiting for certain shit to happen too.
But here's the thing. I feel like many times when we talk about love, we speak of love as like these expectations that we have in our mind.
We do.
Because love, oftentimes, it doesn't look like how we picture it.
Like the Notebook.
Many times, when you are really in love with somebody. It could just be. It doesn't have to be like this overly like romantic, passionate thing.
It could be.
It's just the simple fact that
certain things that you see in a person, and it just.
Well, I mean, yeah, that and then I also
it does,
and not even just the stuff that attracts you to a person. It's that you could look at somebody and you be like, okay, I see this person. This is what they have, and I accept that. Like. Even though they have this going on, I still love this person.
That's a deep understanding, though, to get there.
Yeah, and love is accepting somebody's fault.
Yes.
And accepting they're not
they
perfect.
They say love is kind, patient, but suffering too at the same time.
Yes.
I say kind and patient, but suffering.
And because I feel like we get so caught up in like the romantics of love, like we lose sight of like love goes through the
little things.
It goes through the cycles. It definitely does go through the cycles. Ooh. Like after you step out of that honeymoon phase. That's when you know if people really love you or not. Because you know what I say? I say at least for the first 6 months that you're dating somebody, you're dating their representative. You're not dating the real person. After that honeymoon phase ends, that's when you meet the real person.
I can believe that because you're trying to make everything what it is at first.
That sounds so.
It's always the first impression counts, is what they told us, right? Okay.
Okay. At this point, I sound so jaded then because I'm suspicious of everything and everybody. Like honestly, I'm not. 6 months, you still on a trial basis with me. That sounds fucked up, but it is true. I'm just sorry.
Sorry, guys. We're having technical difficulties. One of our moderators is sexting.
Oh, wow. No, I'm not. I didn't even look at the Okay, so first of all, I was actually texting the group because I want to go to Cajun Wild Crab. And this is our part 2. So I do thank you for joining us today. This is the Mellon University, and this is our toxic relationships and friendships conversation. So like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.